Hi, we're back to finish our brain books. So today you need your brain book that we started last time, and you need a pencil. And before we get started on any of the work that we're going to do today, I want to just think about some of the things we talked about last time and remember them. So the first thing, let's think about what is the brain? What could we call the brain for our body? What is that? You could say it's the body's boss, right? Or you could say it's the control center for the body. Yeah, the brain is the control center for the body. Okay, so that's what the brain is. I know this is really hard to see. The light is just reflecting off of my computer right onto this. There we go. So this big part, does anyone remember the name? Cerebrum. Cerebrum. Okay, do you remember what that part does? Hint, it's where the wise owl is located, where the scrapbook is located, where the guard dog. Yeah, it helps us with so many things, like thinking, problem solving, storing memories, experiencing feelings, helps with movement. All those things happen in the cerebrum. Very, very important part of the brain. Okay, actually they're all important. The brain stem, this part. That part does what? We wouldn't be alive at all without this part. Helps us with involuntary movement. That means like the parts of our body that are moving without us even thinking about them, right? Like blinking eyes. Remember what I said last time? We don't say blink, blink, blink. Or our beating heart. We're not saying, okay, heart, beat, 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 beat. It just does it on its own. Or digesting food or breathing. Unless we're doing mindful breathing, we think about it. But otherwise, we just breathe on our own. And all those things are controlled by the brainstem right here. And then this one has the cool name, the cerebellum. And that helps us with balance and movement. Okay, so balance and movement, right? This part of the brain helps us with that, the cerebellum. Okay, so I'm going to again share my screen so that you can see what I'm doing and you can follow along. So you'll need your book and you'll need a pencil, and then we'll get started and we'll work on it together. Okay, so we have our brain books and we want to open them up to the page that has these lines on it. So you'll see you have other flaps. So yours might be in a different order than mine, but what you want to do is fold them so that this part with the lines is on top, okay? So what we want to write on these lines, we want to tell people and remind ourselves what the brain is, so that every time we look at this book, we can read those words and it'll give us some information and help us remember exactly what the brain is. So what would you, if you had to say in one sentence, what the brain is? So I'm going to start by writing the brain is, the brain is. Now, what is the brain? The brain is the body's what? There's a couple different ways you could say this. The brain is the body's. This, when you put this little apostrophe and an S, it means it belongs to the body. That's an apostrophe. Okay, the brain is the body's. You could say boss if you want to say boss, or you could say control center. I'm going to say control center. The brain is the body's control. It's one of those C's that sounds like an S. The brain is the body's control center. Now, I wrote out the whole sentence, okay? If that seems like a whole lot for you to write, you could write, either you could just write the words control center, or you can write the body's control center. Okay, so you can choose one of those to just write, or you can write the whole sentence. If you were here last year, I think you can handle writing the whole sentence. And if you're comfortable writing that whole sentence, go ahead and do that. Challenge yourself to do that. The brain is the body's control center. So if you need to pause me to go ahead and finish writing that, go ahead and pause me and take the time you need to write that. Then when you're done, we'll open our book all the way up like this. And I can't show you the whole thing very well at once, so I'm going to have to move my book around. Okay? So let's start up at the top. And we are going to draw lines from these different things that our body can do to the parts of our brain that helps us do that. So the first one is touch. And see this dot right up here on the very top? Touch. That part of our brain right there helps us sense touch. Like when you feel something rough or something bumpy or something soft. This part of the brain is helping us with that. And then if you go almost straight down, but just a little bit over to this dot. See that dot? That's the part of our brain that helps us taste things. So it's like if that part of your brain gets damaged, you might have trouble tasting things because that's where taste originates in the brain. That's the part of our brain that helps us with taste. So go ahead and draw that line. Okay. And let's come over and work on this side. Vision, so seeing things, come from back here. So by the way, this is like the front of your head, like where your eyes would be, and this is the back of your head. So your eyes, vision comes from here. See this way in the back part there? That's the part of your brain that helps you with vision. Now, if you were damaged here, you might not be able to see. You could be blind. Okay, and remember we said the cerebellum helps us with balance and movement. So I'm going to draw a line over here. Now there was something funny in my book where the B and the A were missing in the word balance. So you might need to write in a B and an A if they're missing. But you also might have those in your book. Somehow when my book got copied, those two letters were missing. Pretty funny. So I'm not sure if they're there in your book or missing. But if they're missing, fill in a B and an A for balance and movement. Come from this part of the brain, in the cerebellum. And then let's move. Let's see, I'm going to put that up there. Let's move down here. This says involuntary movement. So that means things like a heartbeat. See the heart beating? Heartbeat, blinking, breathing, digesting food, all those kinds of things that your body does on its own. And sleep. Do you remember what part of the brain helps with that? Brainstem. Those are taken care of by the brainstem. Ooh, phew. Those are lots of things that really help us stay alive. Okay, next let's do the ear for hearing. And let's see what part of our brain helps us to hear things. And that's this dot right here. Okay, so right here. So put your finger on that dot. And we're going to draw a line down to hearing. That part of your brain helps us with hearing. Now, do we really have dots in our brain? We don't, do we? No, those are just showing us on the picture what area of the brain. So this area of the brain helps us to hear things. Okay, and then let's move over to here. To smell. So smell comes from this area of the brain right in here. So draw a line to that dot right there for smell. Oh, and then here's one that I think we know a lot about. Thinking and problem solving. Do you remember what part of the brain helps us with that? It's our wise owl, otherwise known as the prefrontal cortex. PFC, prefrontal cortex in fancy words. And that's in the front of our brain. So we're going to draw a line over to this area. We're kind of like experts on that part of the brain, aren't we? We knew that. Okay. And then speech. And you should have one dot left in it. It's sort of in the middle over here. This is where speech takes place. So this part of our brain right in there helps us with talking and speech and language. Okay, so right in there. Isn't that fascinating? There's so many different things that our brain is in control of, right? And all those things happen in different areas. It's really quite amazing. And so we want to be careful and protect our brains so that our bodies can keep doing all these things as best as they can. That's partly why we have that thick skull on our head, right? That thick skull protects your vulnerable brain because your brain is soft. And your skull protects the brain so that your body can keep doing all these amazing things. Okay. Ooh, that was a lot of work. Thanks for working on that with me. So we can fold up our books again. Fold it up. There, and you have your book about the brain. So you can tuck this away in your finished work envelope. And we're finished for today. Have a wonderful rest of your day.